come once again to discuss things.
I'll connect it. So hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. We were just talking about names, and the character we're discussing tonight, the franchise we're discussing tonight, has an interesting relationship with their name, because it sounds like just a nickname thing, but it's, as far as we know, his actual name.
And incredibly convoluted.
Yeah, so, anyway everyone, welcome to the show. I am Sid Partu, aka Ian. Joining me today is Zazubar, a.k.a. Bill Worcester, and Mr. Cool 2010. I always fuck up on people's numbers.
It's just 210. No. 2010.
Oh, just 210. Okay, Mr. Cool 210,
He just
a.k.a.
exemplified his fucking up of names.
Yeah.
See, I'm fucking telling you, man. You people put too many numbers in your name, you're gonna get fucked up.
Well, no. Well,
like,
someone already took the name Mr. Cool when, 8 years ago when I made that stupid name, but...
Well, no, you know who had it the worst from who reviews the reviewers was Kieran, because his fucking channel name's like Major Key 6000 some bullshit. I don't know.
600, thank you.
Fuck it,
That's,
whatever.
How is that hard to remember? 600? That's like an easy number. If it was like 698429867B8, then yeah.
Ian has numerical blindness.
I do indeed. So, anyway, this is going to be an interesting topic. It's one that's kind of spun around in my head for a long time, and I've often oh man, Bill, we should get together and do a video about this, and it's never happened until now, and Ben has given us an excuse to do it because he's a big Doctor Who fan as well. So, we're going to be talking about the showrunners of Doctor Who, the modern showrunners, Russell T. Davies and Stephen Moffat. And, it's interesting that we happen to do, I've had this topic in the back of my head for a long time, and we just so happened to decide to do this, and there's some weird universe-changing stuff that made this work. We just so happened to decide to do this right when they announced that Moffat's leaving the show.
Yeah.
And we're getting a new showrunner next season. And so that's a really weird coincidence.
Well, Moffat's got one season left in him, and then we're...
Oh, he's doing season 10 and then leaving?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he was gone this season.
No, they're taking a year off. There's not going to be any new Who's in 2016, and they're going to come back in 2017.
Boo!
Yeah. I don't know.
There's a Christmas special, but that's it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Christmas special. So there will be that, and that'll be it.
Well, we'll have Class, that spin-off.
Oh, I'm so pumped for that.
What? There's another Doctor Who spin-off?
Yeah,
whatever
you didn't
happened?
hear about
Class.
this?
And it might have Courtney in it. Yay.
I'm so pumped for that, man. She's my favorite.
Is Courtney the girl with the scarf from the 50th anniversary?
No, Courtney's the little annoying girl from Kill the Moon who wouldn't shut the fuck up about Twitter.
Oh, okay. Alright, so anyway, I feel like we're getting a general consensus of everyone's feelings. But no, we're going to talk about just the direction and the overall quality of the show under those two eras. Because, it's weird, you think about it, and for me at least, it always seemed like Davies' era lasted longer. It was more impactful on Doctor Who. It's what brought it back, after all. But Moffat's era is now going to have been on the air longer than... Yeah, it already has been. And it's arguably more popular than Davies' era.
It'll have been, by the time that his era ends, it'll have been 7 years, I think, since... Yeah, 7 years since he took over.
And Davies was only on for, 4 or 5?
2005 to 2010.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way to look at it, and it's kind of crazy. But so I guess the best way to start this off would just be to real quick ask everybody, which of the showrunners do you prefer, and who's your doctor?
I have such conflicting emotions about this.
Me too. but I'm going to make you
used
give
to,
a
but
direct answer.
I do now, but I didn't before, where I'm like, yeah, I know who my doctor is, and I know what Moffat and I don't know what era I like, and now it's like, I don't know as much.
Yeah, exactly.
I think my reasons are different than you guys, though, because I know exactly who I think is better, but whenever I try and, like, vocalize reasons why, I'm always like, that doesn't really make sense, though.
Okay, based on your reasoning of saying that, I'm guessing it's Moffat.
Oh yeah, it is definitely. Anybody who knows me knows that I would say that instantly without any previous thought. But yeah, no,
and
definitely.
your doctor then?
What was that?
Sorry?
And your doctor?
Oh, and my doctor? Well, recently it's been Capaldi, but this is subject to change. I mean, this changes every time the doctor changes. But yeah, recently, just for me, when I think of the doctor, I think of him, and when I just think of what I like of Doctor Who, recently it has been some of the newer stuff with him in it. So,
okay.
Capaldi's
How about you,
doctor
Ben?
for the moment?
Favorite showrunner? I'd say that, in my opinion, I don't want to say too. I actually don't have a favorite showrunner because I like both of them for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go into a bit more detail on that later when we talk get more in depth about the showrunners. As for favorite,
But like, which just if like gun to your head, which one do you prefer?
Not having a gun to his head, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, if it's a BB gun, then I wouldn't care.
He's still probably fucking hurt though.
Oh, god damn it. Probably Russell T. Davies.
Okay. And then Doctor?
Up until the last 2 episodes of Season 9, it was Matt Smith.
Okay.
But now it's Capaldi.
And I should disclose, I wanted to watch Season 9 this week, it just didn't happen.
No, Ian, you haven't watched Season 9 yet?
You're missing, 2 good episodes and nothing else.
Yeah. No, and I'll it's my fault. We're in a video where we're talking about things where I should have gone in without having to worry about spoilers. So don't worry about spoilers, guys. Tell me whatever, whatever naturally comes up. Don't just start explaining the entire series.
So you don't want to know how many penises the Doctor has? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
that was
yep.
a major revelation.
Well, he has about 6, but
it's a rough count. It's kind of hard to give a solid numerical value.
Yeah, so we got like a kind of a wide range here because, I mean, mine's kind of predictable. I'm Davies and Tennant. Tennant will always be my doctor. He's the doctor that I like. Eccleston's stuff I watched and I enjoyed, but David Tennant was the doctor that I fell in love with, and Davies' era, I found myself just missing all the time as I watched through all the stuff with Moffat. I really, really like a lot of the stuff with Moffat, but I really found myself missing some of the charm that the Davies era had.
I can see that.
And
yeah.
I guess I'll go into why I chose this topic, because ultimately, not having seen Series 9 yet, ultimately I think that Moffat's era has been better in overall quality, but incredibly less diverse than Davies' era.
I'll agree to that.
I would disagree on that, actually. I find Moffat's... what I like about Stephen Moffat, compared to someone like Russell T. Davies... I remember my father was saying this when I tried to get him into Doctor Who, and we only got through, 3 episodes, sadly. Russell T. Davies' era very much feels... Season 1 especially feels like a B-movie, with the tone it has.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I kind of like Moffat a bit more in the fact that he takes it a bit more seriously, but because of that, the writing, when it gets sloppier, which is a lot in his seasons, it's a much more noticeable.
Especially recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and for me, I don't know, I feel like the overall quality of writing, when it's good, it's better. When Moffat's writing is good, it's generally better than anything that was going on in the Davies era. But it's the same story. My joke when we watched the pilot the season premiere with Capaldi's first appearance as the Doctor and all that stuff, my joke was, okay, so are we just gonna get a monster that you can't poop around because he keeps doing this thing with bodily functions?
Yeah.
So we're just gonna get Peter Capaldi screaming at Clara, "You got to hold your sheet, Clara! You can't sheet, Clara! Otherwise it will get you, Clara!"
Wow, that accent, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
God.
I'm just dead on.
Well, hey, they're already going to be hating on us because we're talking about Doctor Who and none of us are British. So
right? No, I mean, like, seriously, I feel like the Moffat's quality of writing, when it's good, it's great, but it's
When it's
a
bad,
lot of the same tropes. It's
bad.
even when it's good though, it's a lot of the exact same tropes. You know, he's got a very limited wheelhouse.
He's got, like, a Doctor Who story that he keeps, like, retelling in different skins, I feel.
Yeah, me too. And I couldn't help but notice that and start to get really annoyed. And then I look back at some of the stuff that was going on in the Davies era. I'm like, don't get me wrong, there's some awful fucking episodes of that show.
Yeah.
Fear Her is awful.
For me, 42 is my arch nemesis, man. Ugh.
Oh, then you must hate the fact that Chris Chibnall's taking the show over then.
I'm not crazy about it, but at the same time, I'm also like, whatever. It's been a long time. That dude's written a lot of other stuff. Apparently, he's written some very good stuff.
It was a mixed bag. Well, nothing. My one, just going off topic quickly, just for a brief second. My one issue with that whole thing is that he's a guy. When Moffat was chosen as showrunner, it made perfect sense because, like, he wrote Blink, he wrote Girl in the Fireplace, he wrote Empty Child, like all these really great critically acclaimed stories. This guy hasn't written anything even close to the quality of those episodes.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, I just think that I'd like to give him a chance, see what.
But there is Broadchurch, and that's a great show. So
that's the big thing that I was like, oh, okay, well, if he's got that and he can work with a Doctor Who, then
he just brings back David Tennant instead.
There was always like there's been like this weird fan push ever since the Davies era ended. Like, you find forums of it where it's like, bring David Tennant back as the Master, and it's like, why? Like, why would you
bring David Tennant back as the Doctor?
That sounds so dumb.
That's such a weird idea.
It's such a fan theory, like fan fiction-y type of thing. I find it very funny. There was a serious push for that at one point, but anyway.
Yeah, back to what we were saying. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's kind of what put this in my head is I've just had that feeling about the thing, and I wanted to dive in and see what you guys thought about it as well. So Bill, do you feel that, like you said, you kind of agree with me and stuff, or do you like? What are your feelings?
What did I kind of agree with? I kind of agree with a lot of stuff.
My general point that overall quality in Moffat was better, but diversity was
I agree with part of that. I would argue that I'm actually going to agree with the diversity part too, because that was the part where I was like, I will say though that I would sacrifice the diversity of Davies' run for the general consistent entertaining quality of Moffat's run, because I feel like Davies' run, just too many times I was watching it and I was just like, what? What am I watching? Like, just some of the twists, and you get that a little with Moffat too, but Moffat, whenever it happens with Moffat, that sense of just like, what kind of nonsensical crap is this? It seems like it's intentional, or at the very least there's more thought put into it than just, alright, well, we should probably leave Rose with her own doctor, so why don't we just, like, have the hand turn into another doctor, and it, for some reason, has the same memories as him, and
to be fair,
that was messed up. That was weird that he did that.
But like, there's just, I would sacrifice that in order to have the more, like, I've been entertained, at the very least, by almost all of Moffat's stuff. I cannot say that for Davies' stuff.
Fair enough. How about you, Ben? Where do you feel on my points here? How do you
I can kind of agree about the diversity thing, and that is one thing that I really do feel that... One thing I think that Davies does much better than Moffat is the season finales.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the best episodes of the entire new series of the finales, whereas arguably the finales for Moffat have been some of his weakest ones, especially the season 6 and season 8 finale were like really lackluster in my opinion. Mainly just because season 6 finale made absolutely no sense and was like...
Okay, you gotta forgive me. It's been a long time since I've watched through everything.
Wedding River Song.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that way. And like, it's a thing of like, during season 9, I was watching... Because there's a lot of episodes in season 9 I really hated. But, so I was watching a bunch of old Russell T. Davies episodes, and I was actually finding I was getting a bit more... My opinion of the whole, like, Moffat, like, I enjoying that more because he took it more seriously, has changed a little bit after watching Davies' run again, because I have more fun when the show can take itself a bit, like, more lighthearted with a lot more of the sillier elements, because then when Moffat brings in sillier elements, it clashes with the tone and makes it kind of hard to watch. Especially with episodes like Kill the Moon. That one made me just pull my hair out. I hate it so much.
Really?
Yeah, and it's one of those weird things, because, like, Moffat has such a big thing, like, he wouldn't put the Master in for such a long time because he, quote-unquote, it was too corny.
Yeah.
And, like, meanwhile, we're like, it's fucking Doctor Who, god damn.
Well, that was the big thing. I was furious that the Master never met Matt Smith's Doctor, which that
always bugged me too. Yeah.
Well, it's like that was the thing, is that season 8 was supposed to be a Matt Smith season, but then at the last minute, Matt Smith left, and so, like, you know, he had to put everything he wanted to do for the ending in Time of the Doctor, and then rewrite the season for
And it felt very, very rushed.
No, the Master was supposed to be the one to blow up the TARDIS.
It would have been amazing.
That's what I always thought anyway.
I mean, that was, like, the big thing, is, like, I thought that was a mistake, bringing in Missy for, like, the Master should never be the Doctor's first, like, main adversary of a season, I think. And, like, that was, like, because it kind of lessens his impact a bit.
I can feel that.
And, like, you know, with David Tennant, it was perfect. Because, like, you know, David Tennant had a season, and then they build up the whole season to the Master in season 3, and then it's like, oh, holy shit, there he is. And he's doing this big thing. But then with Capaldi, it's like, oh, it's just this person's the Master. Okay, whatever.
And because the Doctor hasn't had the chance to find his footing yet, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, it is a big problem when you have a character who's trying to figure out who he is, and now he's suddenly got to stand up for who he is against his antithesis, and we don't even know who he is yet.
Yeah, I can totally see how that's an issue.
It's like having Batman start off, like, against the Joker. It just doesn't
Batman
work.
89?
Yeah, I was about to say, do you mean most Batman things?
No, because, like,
you're right.
Batman
They usually wait.
No, Batman 89 doesn't really apply because he'd been Batman for a while in that continuity. I mean, like, it's like starting
Joker
out
was
Batman.
the one who made him Batman, though, bro. So.
Yeah, but no, you get what I'm saying, though.
No, I understand.
He's experienced as Batman, though.
Yeah,
And, I mean, 89 still a whole host of problems, but, no, like, it's like starting Batman off against the Joker very first, like, time he goes out with the cape and cowl and he's, like, running into the Joker. It just doesn't work because there's too much drama in how much those two have in common.
It's like doing that. That was actually the problem with a lot of comic book movies, where they'd always have the first movie be their, like, arch nemesis, and then the first movie would always be an origin movie. Like, the first Raimi Spider-Man movie had that problem to a max degree. Like,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You should never. I mean, if Missy were to be the villain at the end of season 9, that would have been better, especially since there really isn't a villain in season 9.
Oh, who knows what the fuck is going on in season 9, man.
But it's like, well, I mean, she's in it, but she doesn't do anything.
She's a companion. I mean, at first.
Yeah, exactly. And then she does stupid shit with Clara. Anyway,
and then she decides to turn on him for no reason.
Yeah, but, like, more so the point is like, I know this is really a big tangent, but that was a big problem with me, where it's like, why the fuck didn't? Because there's the thing, if that would have been a Matt Smith season, like that, if that was Matt Smith's final season, like he meets Missy or whatever, that would have been amazing. Because you have 3 seasons before that building up to his, like, building his character and his Doctor or whatever, and then there's the Master for his final villain, kind of like what they did with David Tennant, because that's my personal opinion. The Master should be the final villain of the Doctor. Like when you're when he's on his last season, that's when you bring the Master in.
I don't know if I'd want that to be a consistent thing, but I do understand the point.
I just mean, like, when you bring the Master in, you should only do it for the final season of a Doctor.
Nah, because I won't agree with that universal, but I agree with the idea that the Doctor should be well seasoned before he gets to the Master.
Yeah, no, I'm with that concept totally. But
no, because there's just a lot of things like that though, where the tone shifting really felt awkward a lot of times, because Moffat did try to go for like a darker tone and stuff, and it just didn't. Especially in the context of coming so far after the Davies thing. I've talked to Bill about this a lot, and I love Matt Smith, don't get me wrong, but it always felt really, really weird how much retconning there was going on from the transition between Davies and Moffat.
Well, they tried to make season 5 like a kind of soft reboot, and that's why Like, that's why.
Yeah, and like
They
like
literally
for me,
rebooted the universe, so yeah, definitely.
yeah. Hold on. Let me make my point. Just beyond that, though, there's a lot of character regression between Tennant and Smith to the point where it actually makes more sense if it had gone 9, 11, 10. Like just as far as who that person is. And obviously it's a regeneration. It's different.
Fans have tried to fans have tried to make reasons as to why it makes sense for 10 to go down to 11. Kind of 10 was really vain and really full of himself and serious when he needed to be, but then apparently when he regenerated he wanted to be more lighthearted, and so that's why he regenerated.
No, I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about just the kind of his morality, his feelings about the Time War. A lot of the sentiments of the character, he just really takes a step backwards.
The killing is the thing that really bugged you.
Yeah, the killing is a major thing that bothers me.
Didn't he only do it once in as Matt Smith though? I think
he's killed a couple people. He killed. Well, he didn't really kill him, but he caused the death of that guy on the dinosaur station.
Yeah, exactly.
Just left him there. Who else?
There's a lot of things though. It's not necessarily his fault, but it is very Batman leaving Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, I don't have to save you, sort of thing.
Yeah, and that is really fucking bothering me. It's just it's like watching Superman become Batman.
So it's like watching Man of Steel.
I knew it.
It's one of those It's one of those things though. It's really, really disjointing to have David Tennant, who, if I am gonna compare his Doctor to any comic book character, it is fucking Superman, and then he starts to go really kind of dark and get really kind of gritty in a lot of ways when he gets to Smith, and that legitimately bothered me. So beyond just the character stuff, then you get all the continuity stuff, and I'm just why did we have to get rid of all this? It was so...
That was one annoying thing. I remember it was said, I don't know where it was said, but apparently they said this in the show, that the cracks in the universe completely forget about any alien invasion before the 11th hour, and I'm wow.
Oh, you see... I wanted to bring this up before. I didn't come up with this, so I'm not going to take credit for it. It was either Ian or Dylan that said this. Davies' run is all about the people of the world finding out that aliens exist, and Moffat's run is all about people forgetting that aliens exist. Kind of how you break it down.
That's too clever for me. That's probably
I think Dylan is the one who said that, and I was that is so perfect. Now, Moffat's run is more about treating the Doctor back into the darkness that he used to sort of inhabit, and more being a mysterious figure that nobody can sort of pin down what he is or who he is.
Yeah, urban legend kind of thing.
Exactly. Now, let me say this. I personally did not care for, when I sat down and binge-watched all of Doctor Who, all of New Who, the retcons that happened in Season 5, and the really sharp difference in tone and direction that it had taken after Davies left. But I will say, years later, and having seen more of Doctor Who and gotten a better sense of what it's supposed to be and everything, or at least, what I interpret, I kind of like what Moffat changed, very specifically too. I like the idea of taking the Doctor and turning him back into more of that scientist type, that sort of morally ambiguous scientist type that he was before, and making him less of a clean-cut hero. That's what I really like about what he changed, and we've gotten that a lot with Capaldi, and that's why I really like his Doctor. But you get it a lot with Smith too. So I actually
my problem with that though is I think he's gone too far with that, because all we get
definitely.
Constantly we get the Doctor questioning whether or not he's a good person. You know what? No, you saved billions of lives. You don't get to ask that.
Only in season 8. He doesn't do that in season 9. He's become a bit.
No, but that's all over.
He just doesn't care anymore. He's whatever. I am who I am. I don't care anymore.
No, but that's all over Smith's run too, about whether or not he's a good person.
But to be fair, at the time though, before the 50th though, he did think he killed his entire race.
Yeah. What examples really bugged you in particular?
All right, so besides him just being much more okay with killing, because
again,
Tennant would put his life on the line just for the chance to save someone, and Smith was like, "Oh no, you didn't take this bridge? Well, fuck you."
There was a whole episode in season 7 about that, though. Not a great episode, but an episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Was that
right, so,
the one where they were in the Old West?
Yeah, a town called Mercy.
Yeah. And
Watched it once and I was like, yep, I'm good.
Yeah, the explanation sucked, but whatever. All right, so what particular things bothered me?
Mainly in terms of just him questioning his own being as a good person, and the specific instances that bugged you.
All right, well, like, the thing is, it never was really not there, but it was so less subtle in Moffat's era than it was in Davies, because every companion had that one scene with the Doctor where they would offer him to, like, come and eat dinner with them and their family, like Christmas dinner. That happened a lot in Tennant's era, where someone would offer him a meal, and he's like, no, and he would take off because he didn't deserve to be thanked. He was always atoning, so it was a nice, subtle little thing.
The only 2 times I remember them doing that, he actually said yes to the meals.
No, like, Martha asks him several times, and he kind of takes off on her.
He does it with Rose. He does it with Rose, and he also does it with that guy who thought he was the Doctor.
Oh, yeah, in the next Doctor he does it.
Yeah, but he does it several times with Martha, and I'm pretty sure that even happens at one point with Donna, too.
It does happen with Donna.
So, like, it's much more subtle about his guilt.
To be fair, there was a time with Donna, I think it was when she'd forgotten who he was, so...
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really remember particularly myself.
No, I remember that there was a subtlety to it. And, like, the time he agrees to do it with the guy who was the Doctor, it's only because the guy understands his pain. And then you have stuff going on with the Smith and the rest of the Moffat era, where it's just like he's constantly being told that he's he's constantly questioning whether or not he's a good person and stuff. And, you know, to be fair, it's been a long time since I watched it. I just remember thinking that. So I'm not going to be able to pull, like, super great examples.
Well, I'll pull one for you. The whole plot of season 6 with the whole military force that's trying to take the Doctor down with River Song.
Yeah, there we go.
But I will say that I liked all of that stuff, almost all of it. To be fair.
Well, the one argument I'd make against, like, the whole thing of, like, not liking that idea of, like, oh, it's the Doctor's questioning if he's a good person.
Yeah, I do like that idea as a thing.
I just got tired of it. It got overdone.
But, like, you know, to be fair, the main reason, until they retconned it in season 9, the main reason the Doctor, like, left Gallifrey was arguably a very selfish reason.
Oh, yeah, season 9.
Yes, season 9.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's
hard, but I hate
it. They handled that really well, though, in one of my favorite episodes of Doctor Who, The Doctor's Wife. Like, you know, yeah, he left for a very selfish reason and everything, but he ended up helping as he went. Like, you know, the TARDIS always took him not where he wanted to go, but where he always needed to go.
Well, except for times when he did stupid... Except for times when he, you know, lied to people, like when he was the first Doctor. It's like, I need to go to the Dalek home planet to get these things. Oh, wait, no, I just want to study the Daleks. We're in jail now. Ha, ha.
He was a bit of a dick back then. He still is. But, you know.
He threw around the term Red Indian back then. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but Capaldi's yelling at, like, 7-year-olds, you know? It's all relative.
It's a 50-year-old continuity. There's going to be things that don't fit for every perfect explanation or anything like that. So it's just...
Well, even to be fair, the retcon they added in season 9 makes less sense, so...
I mean, it's really convoluted.
The idea of the Doctor just constantly having to question whether or not he's a good person, I'm perfectly comfortable with him not thinking he's a good person. I just don't like everyone else trying to point that out. That got really annoying to me.
Well, but I would say that it makes sense, though. I think it makes sense that everybody comes around and questions his morality once you think
it's always a new person coming around.
Yeah, so. That's what I mean. But I do think that they could potentially cut that scene. You don't have to see it every time. Like, it could just be implied that it happens. Like, maybe you could just have a mention of it. If it does ever become relevant, like, you can just be like, oh, well, I used to question your morality when this first started, but whatever, we're over it now. So I can agree with that to a point. But I really do quite enjoy the idea of sort of deconstructing some of the Doctor's
It's a good arc for a character. It's a good character arc, and
it's a good character arc once.
That's the thing, though. It has become a massive trope in Doctor, but it's like, where else do you go with it, though? I mean, where else can he go?
Well, it makes sense to do that for like maybe. Well, the thing, the time when it made the most sense was during season 8. When he was Capaldi, like, for the first time, because, like, you know, it was a new Doctor, he was newly regenerated, it happening constantly with Smith did get a bit irritating after a while, but it's like, at the very least, when a Doctor's like first trying to establish himself, it kind of makes sense that that's his arc. Like, who am I? What do I stand for? That kind of stuff. But and like, am I a good person or not? But like,
especially with Capaldi, given how they wrote him.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrote him.
Like, you're saying like you have a problem with like Matt Smith killing. He freaking pushed that guy and like impaled him on the damn. Like, in deep breath, he we don't know if he did or not.
Oh yeah, push that guy and
allegedly.
Lets the guy get zapped by the Dalek and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of shit that Capaldi pulls that I'm just like, fucking wow.
Yeah, but he also had what was it, 1,000 years that we didn't see, so who knows what happened.
But he was on Christmas Town.
Yeah, but you don't know. If somebody could go around raping kids or something, you don't know.
And that Christmas Town was like ravaged by people trying to kill him.
Yeah, you forgot what happened, bro. Shit was fucked up back in the day, back on Trenzalore.
Right.
Now he's millions of years old, so who knows? Not really.
It's one of those things where it always has really irked me, because, like, that's how I got to know the character, and then it changed so drastically, and I was like, oh, this is really hard to watch, and then they kept going with it. And I guess what bothered me about it is, I just figured he's got to be over that shit by now.
Well, yes.
Well, now, but by Series 8, he still should have been over that shit by then.
Well, no, but he was a newly regenerated Doctor. New set of regenerations. He was still like trying to find so he wasn't sure what would change about him after because at that point it was like no one ever regenerated past 12 regenerations, and now he's past that point. He doesn't know
Oh, that's not true. The Master is past 12 regenerations.
Yeah, and then the Master ended up looking like a burnt, and the Master ends up looking like burnt chicken and.
No, that was on his 13th. That was on his 13th life where he looked like a burnt chicken.
The Doctor's currently on that cycle right now. He's currently on his 13th life.
Yeah. Well, it's his 13th regeneration.
Yeah, 13th life, yeah. That's what I mean.
Well, no, the point is, the Master was doing it in unnatural ways. They firmly established that the Time Lords do have the ability to grant just extra ones.
Well, it's not a biological limit. It's a set thing that the Time Lords put on themselves. That's how I've always interpreted it anyway. But
they have places that they can regenerate more, but it could cause problems if they're not given more kind of thing. They could possibly
I don't know.
end up getting physical.
Could they do it on their own is the question. Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, what I was going to say before though was in terms of going from season 7 to 8 from the time of the Doctor to Capaldi. I was also going to say we are also talking about a Doctor who literally just blew up an entire Dalek fleet with regeneration energy. So who the fuck knows who this guy is anymore? Because that. I've never talked about this. That ending bothers me. Why was everybody cool with him blowing up a fucking Dalek fleet with regeneration energy?
Because it's Daleks.
It's so anti-Doctor Who, though. Doctor Who isn't supposed to be, something that resorts to, really violent acts to solve problems. But, he literally just blows up millions of lives. And everybody's just yep, it's cool.
Because Matt Smith is just so damn enjoyable to watch.
I didn't care at the time. That's the thing. I was like, yeah, that's fine. But now I'm just like, wait, that seems very un-Doctor Who.
Right? It's all in the performance. And, I guess, I don't know how much this has to do with the topic of Moffat versus Davies, but I guess I'll talk for just a minute about some of my feelings of Smith versus Tennant. And yeah, it does connect more overall to the topic. So one reason that I'll never like Matt Smith's Doctor as much as David Tennant's is because Matt Smith had some kind of stinker episodes, but he never had anything just truly awful. And one thing I really liked about David Tennant is
the fact that he doesn't have any episodes as bad as during Tennant's run was a reason you don't like him as much.
Yeah, because even when Tennant had just some absolute garbage scripts, I still enjoyed watching him.
I'm trying to think if it was ever a garbage Matt Smith episode to me.
Yeah, he had some ones that are not great.
I've seen some garbage Matt Smith myself. Very garbage. Stuff like The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe make me want to...
Oh, that's garbage! I'll agree that that's garbage.
Yeah. Alright, and so, would you rather watch that or what's the name of the one Deadpoolzilla hated with a passion?
Fear Her?
Love and Monsters.
I would rather watch Love and Monsters because I don't.
Well, yeah, it's fucking shorter, Ian. I'd rather watch that.
Like,
all right.
If you ask
would
me
you
if I
rather
would
watch
Fear Her? I couldn't choose because Fear Her is awful.
I'd rather watch
Awful.
her too, because that's got like 2 jokes in it that I like.
No, I'd rather wouldn't watch it because I freaking hate Fear Her so much. That girl in that episode was so annoying.
No, I feel that, but I would rather watch that for the cat joke though.
I guess so.
No, my point is though, I just like the what makes me I think like the Davies era a little bit more too is even when it was bad, I was still enjoying the fuck out of Tenet, and I love Matt Smith. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I ever really attached to him because he never had anything that was just absolute shit.
That's really weird. That's like an abusive relationship type of thing. That sounds like some fucked up relationship trauma.
It does.
I couldn't stay with it because it never got as bad as with fucking Tony or whatever. So I had to go back to Tony because we had some shit, but I was still liking that cock, man. It was still really good. Like, do you understand how fucked up that sounds?
I understand that it's a weird point, but that's part of what makes me like that era more. That's part of what makes me like David Tennant more. Is he was able to get through some of that bad stuff because you go back and you watch some of the classic stuff, and that's what makes Tennant rank among some of those classic actors because they had some stupid shit that they had to deal with, and they still managed to make it work by and large. And Smith, like, he never really had that big of a problem because he had consistently quality writing.
I have a hard time distinguishing, like, in my real quality with the different doctors, though, because you've also got to remember that each of those scripts is written for that doctor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're written with those distinctions.
It's not exactly fair, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that there's a little bit of, like, well, it's really... You'd have to have somebody write, like, a neutral Doctor Who script and go, okay, let's give it to everybody who's ever played.
Here's the big problem. The neutral Doctor Who script we should have gotten was The Day of the Doctor, and
it's an 11th Doctor story.
Oh, yeah, it's very...
I have so many problems with Day of the Doctor. So many damn problems.
And, like, yeah, one of my big problems with it is Tennant's just kind of there to be fun, but he doesn't really get to do anything.
Yeah, he does nothing for the story. Like, you can completely cut him out of the story and nothing would change.
I would also say that one of the other things with Day of the Doctor is that it doesn't, like, having rewatched, like, the last time I rewatched, the thing I remembered was, like, the occasion for it being the 50th anniversary, I was like, this is kind of lazy.
That's the thing with the 50th. It's like, that episode screamed to me wasted potential, because there's so much you could have done to connect it more to a 50th anniversary. Like, 'cause I remember reading somewhere, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently Moffat's original idea for the 50th, it wasn't 9 meeting 10 and 11, it wasn't, like, the War Doctor, and it wasn't 8, it was the first Doctor meeting 10 and 11, which... like, that would have been great, but he's like, apparently he didn't want to do it because he thought it'd be disrespectful to William Hartnell to have someone else play the first Doctor, but it's like, but
they already did it.
Disrespect was done already, my friend.
And it's like, and you could have gotten, like, the guy who played him in Adventure in Space and Time to do it. Like, he would have been great. That was the rumor. I remember at the time that happened when he was cast. That was the rumor that they were going to do all the Doctors and they were going to recast the guys that were dead, and probably Tom Baker because He's too, and then other elements. Like, I remember one thing I've suggested: the moment should not have been played by Billie Piper. I think that the actress who played Susan should have played the moment. I think that would have been a really, really kind of cool way to connect it to the 50th. She's still alive. Like, she could do it. And in a perfect world, it would have been Elizabeth Sladen, but yeah, she's passed away. So.
I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, the 50th anniversary I do enjoy, but it's one of those things I don't want to watch too many times. You know?
Yeah.
Because like it's always bothered the crap out of me, like that they had to the thing that of the 50th that always bothered me, and then it's really really a symptom of everything that Moffat was doing to retcon Davies, even the stuff that didn't make any goddamn sense, was always connected to the Time War. Because, like, despite your feelings of End of Time, I love the reveal in End of Time that the Time Lords got just as bad as the Daleks, and that's why the Doctor needed to put them both down.
Well, that's the thing. End of Time actually opens up a really big plot hole in Day of the Doctor. So it's,
yeah, exactly. But the Time Lords are treated like saints, and at that point,
Time Lords.
Well, it's not even that. I was more so going by the fact, like, at the very end, they're, going like, oh, I won't remember this. Apparently he did remember, because he remembers that the Time Lords aren't dead and are locked in another dimension in End of Time.
Wait.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. He's like, the Time Lords are coming back. They're locked in another dimension.
No, they were time locked.
No, the Time War is locked. The Time War is time locked. Now, what happens at the end of Day of the Doctor is Gallifrey is locked away in another dimension at that point.
Yeah, they're two different kinds of locked away.
It seemed like the same thing, like watching those episodes.
No, I mean, fair enough. It's bullshit.
I can
fake
see how
science.
that'd be confusing in retrospect. Yeah.
Well,
no, like that's the thing that always bothered me about it is all the things that he did to like fuck over that brilliant continuity that they added in the Davies era of the Time War, and just how the Doctor was the last Time Lord now, and that's like probably the best thing that the show added once it came back is this isn't
that's
your
one
dad.
thing though with. Well, that's one thing with Day of the Doctor though. That's like a really big kind of. I remember seeing it I watched it in the theater the very first time I saw Day of the Doctor. I loved it at the time. I remember thinking like, this would have been such a better special, in my opinion, if they did the whole thing of him going to the Time War and him actually, like, going through... Like, it looks like they're going to do the ending of, like, him going through with it because there wasn't another option. And it's like...
And I heard Moffat talking about it one time, and he goes, like, to be fair, he presents it the best way he could. He talks about how he imagined the Doctor in the room with the button to end the war and kill both sides, and he just couldn't let himself make the character press that button. So he literally wrote that scene where all the character has to do now is press the button, and he knew that the character had to find a different way out of it.
But the problem with that is he goes out of his way to, like, write this new War Doctor character that all of them, like, hate, and it's like... It was like, oh, he was terrible, he was like...
Even though he's, like, the nicest guy ever.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, guys, how's it going,
from the trailers...
Certainly.
Well, from the trailers, I thought the War Doctor was going to be the villain of the story.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, it's like, I was
cool.
expecting them to make him, like, this, like, the reason they keep trying to forget about him is because when he was in the Time War, he was, like, this like, despicable, evil, like, sadistic bastard who, like, loved war and loved killing kind of thing. And, like,
it's so weird because you can tell with certain lines, you could tell it was originally written for the Ninth Doctor.
Oh, obviously. I mean, look at his fucking outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that, and, like, he has that mend cabinets line, which was a clear callback.
Yeah, definitely.
Out. There's so many things like that where I'm like, God, it got really, really messy. And then from that point on, the Time Lords are just, fucking holy saints, and, they're trapped in... Oh, okay, fair enough. But that always legitimately... That's the thing that immediately bothered the crap out of me. Bill and I did a review the night that came out, and I mentioned that, and Duke and Deadpoolzilla shut me down on it, and I think it's still a gigantic problem.
No, it is still a problem. But there is a line where Moffat tries to write himself out of it that I don't like, where he goes... Oh, the High Council have their own plans, their own priorities. Obviously, while the Day of the Doctor plot is going on, the End of Time plot is going on. Or at least that's what I got from that line.
Okay, but then why did the Doctor... If it's just the High Council that's the fuck up...
No, it obviously wasn't supposed to be, though. But Moffat just used that as an excuse to write that in. I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like
my
that.
point, though, is if that's the case, then why would the Doctor want to kill the entire Time
Lord?
Lord?
That's why I don't like that, because it seems like he was perfectly satisfied with accepting that both races had transformed into monsters, and that the universe was a better place without them. It didn't seem like it was this thing where it was like, oh, I had no other choice, there was no other way to wipe out the Daleks except to wipe out the Time Lords, and it's like, that's not what you said at the time, buddy.
Yeah, and like it's even worse when you watch Paul McGann's little comeback role.
He should have been in the 50th.
Like, there was no reason for him not to be. Yeah,
it's really worse when you watch him in that little scene, because you have this character go, like, she's ready to sacrifice her life in order to kill a Time Lord, and she's like, what's that line she has? Best news I've heard all day. Yeah. And then you see the Time Lords, and they're all like, oh no, we're being slaughtered by the Daleks.
Ring Around the Rosie. Why the fuck are Time Lords playing Ring Around the Rosie? Play fucking...
that was in a war zone, no less.
Yeah, it's like, play fucking Time Ball or whatever you fuckers do. Don't play our Earth bullshit. It's like fucking Nintendo or something. I don't know.
No, it's like that always bothered me, though. It's like, if all the Time Lords aren't fucking evil, then why would someone be willing to sacrifice their life just to make sure one dies?
Well, also, the other problem with all this, too, is that recently it's been almost explicitly stated that there is a difference between being from Gallifrey and being a Time Lord. That there are normal Gallifreyans.
You have to go to, like, a school and, like,
and
all that kind of crap.
You have to be transformed into a Time Lord, it seems. Like, you have to be exposed to the Untempered Schism, I think it's called. Yeah. And that, it seems like, is the thing that... Because it's also explained that that's how the Time Lords became what they were. That's what it seems like turned you into a Time Lord. So, it just creates all these muddy differences between the different versions of it that we've seen. Which one do you like better? Which one is actually canon? Well, the answer is, it depends on who's writing it, kids.
No, the one that's canon is where they're from cocoons and shit. Just kidding.
What?
In the classic continuity, they tried to bring in a continuity where it was like the Doctor and Susan. I think that's what it was. Like the Doctor and Susan were like these reincarnated versions of a previous race that were birthed from cocoons.
Oh, that's really weird. Okay, because there's also been there's a whole series of books with the Eighth Doctor, or at least where it was during the Eighth Doctor's time, where they were like sort of hinting at different origins for the Doctor, and there were a couple of different ones. And one of them was that, you had the human one, obviously, that was also referenced in Season 9. And,
well, hinted at, but then it turned out not to be true.
Yeah, they're never, ever going to say that that's canon, but they'll always hint at it. But then the other one, of course, is that the Doctor was like a being that was created by a house of the Time Lords or something.
I remember there was a really funny thing when they did that whole Season 7 Impossible Girl storyline with Clara. One of the theories was that Clara was his mother.
Oh! Let's talk about that for a second, too.
What, with the companions?
Well, no, here's what I was going to say. Well, we can get to that, because there's a whole topic there, my friend, with Moffat and his fucking companions.
And Davis.
And Davies, too, but we'll get to it. But, let's talk about the whole mother thing for a second, because one huge problem that I have with Davies, just as a writer, is in End of Time, where he just doesn't tell us who the woman is.
Well, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Ambiguous. Oh, well, no, I know who it was supposed to be, but the only reason that he doesn't say it is because it was leaked, and I'm just like, no, that's not good enough to me, because obviously you were supposed to be building up to some kind of reveal, and all the hinting in the world to me is not enough to accept of who she is. I'm just like, it's a fucking cock tease, because it's not like he's gonna... You
need the Doctor, I am your mother scene.
Well,
right?
I don't need it to be that fucking explicit.
Well, don't we see her in Season 9, though? Not like the same actress, but like...
Her character, you mean?
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
What about in the barn, though? Like, I thought that was her.
No, I always thought that was just, well, if it is supposed to be her, and I didn't think that was made clear, because I also don't think that that's his actual mother. Because what I thought that was supposed to be the woman who was talking in the flash, or when they go back in time to the Doctor's childhood and listen. And I don't think that's his mother. It seems like she's, like, just taking care of him and a bunch of other Gallifreyan kids.
I don't understand how that scene works with a time lock still in effect. I really don't understand how that...
knows. I presume potentially because Gallifrey is not technically destroyed anymore, but more than that, the Doctor knows that Gallifrey is not destroyed anymore, and that was done through his telepathic circuit. So
I don't know.
Maybe that's why they were able to do it. I don't know, man. It's all bullshit. Who cares? No.
Yeah. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk companions then, because...
Yeah, there's a big difference with companions, with those two eras.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who the fuck got tired of Amy and Rory keep coming back?
Oh,
I didn't. I got tired of Clara.
Yeah, I got tired of all of them. I'm just like, Moffat, you gotta learn when to let go, buddy.
Well, yeah, that is the biggest thing. I've said this before, and this is the thing. Like, neither of them have a good medium. Davies' companions aren't there long enough, and Moffat's are there way too long.
Yeah, I'll agree to that, especially with Martha.
Wait, Martha, what the fuck? Even Donna, like, what the hell? Like, only one season with Donna? Come on.
I think I had enough of Donna. I like her a lot, but I think she.
Well, here's the thing.
I think I had enough.
Here's the thing, though. Davies era, they got to come back a lot, though.
That's
Whereas
true.
Moffat,
There's more
it's just
crossover
like
in the Davies era.
Yeah, with Moffats, they're just fucking always there. Like, Amy and Rory have like 25,000 chances to jump ship and go have a life, and then we can get a new companion, but they just don't fucking do it.
They're with him for 10 years of their life. How does that rank in other... Yeah, that's what they say in Season 7. How does that rank to other companions?
10 years? Really?
That's what they say, yeah. In The Power... in The Angels Take Manhattan, they say that.
I thought it was like a year, maybe 2, but...
No. They say it's been... They say at one point it's been years for us, but so little time for you.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that's in The Power of 3 or in Angels Take Manhattan. It's one of those.
Well,
two.
it's like a big thing with like that whole kind of thing. The thing with that kind of thing. One thing with the companions that I've been thinking about lately, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't end up being the case. Well, like, with the new showrunner coming around, with Capaldi, like, how Clara, it was like his companion, right? Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing, unless they have a 1-season companion next season, then Capaldi's not going to have a companion that was 100% his, because she was with Matt Smith first.
Yeah, that's true.
And I kind of don't like that, because the thing
he's
is...
done after the next season, he said, so...
He never...
Wow.
I thought he had at one point, or at least he had hinted at it.
He said it might be, but he's not sure yet.
Oh, okay, it wasn't definitive. Well, because what I read was just going on about how, like, even though it feels like
it probably will be, because the
no, definitely
probably going to want to be, like, have a new doctor, but, like, that's the thing, like, Capaldi just got rid of all of Matt Smith's baggage, his screwdriver, the inside of the TARDIS, his companion, and he's only going to get 1 season to like, have fun with the role. Are you fucking kidding me?
I thought he was having some fun this past season, though.
No, but it's like, I want him to have, like, make an actual mark on Doctor Who with, like, with Matt Smith, he made his mark, he has Amy and Rory as, like, his companions, like, and they're independently his and nobody else's. Capaldi, like I said, unless it's a 1-season companion thing, he doesn't have that, because Clara was with Matt Smith.
That's true. I'll agree to that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I mean, if we're going to talk about, like, branding yourself as the Doctor, well, Tennant didn't ever get rid of that TARDIS.
That's the thing. That's actually the funny thing, is that you kind of feel that way, but even though his screwdriver and his TARDIS were Eccleston's first, you still kind of feel like they're more Tennant's.
They became iconic with him.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing, is Eccleston was always meant to just be there for 1 season kind of thing. So it just isn't worth... No, seriously, I believe I've heard him in interviews say that he signed on for 1 season.
But Davis had plans for him to go for more.
Well, yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure, like, they had David Tennant hired at the beginning of that startup.
They were making the season. They thought that they were gonna go for more. It was only during production, during the last couple episodes.
Actually, that's the thing. Like, once again, don't know if this is true, but from what I've heard, apparently it was a case of the reason Eccleston signed on for 1 season is because the ending originally wasn't going to have him regenerate, because they weren't sure, like, on how the ratings were going to be. But then when season 1 did so well, they got David Tennant in there to do a regeneration because Eccleston didn't want to continue.
Gotcha.
Right.
Like, I'd always heard that it was always intended to have him there for only 1 season.
Ah, man, they wanted to keep him around because he was a big actor at the time, so
yeah,
they wanted to have him around. But yeah, it was just because the reason why he left, nobody really talks about why he left. It was because of the way the crew was being treated. That's what he always says anyway. It had nothing to do with him not liking Doctor Who or anything. He just...
then that's weird that he didn't come back for the 50th. It's like...
but he said that...
Planning to until he read the script.
He said that he actually had a bunch of meetings with Stephen Moffat. And that's why there's so much of the 9th Doctor story left in the 50th. But it said that the production issues that he encountered with the crew being treated how they were and him being treated how he was were so extreme that he just couldn't consciously, morally come back. He really wanted to, though, he said, so... I gotta respect the guy who's like, I can't work with these people again after what happened, but it's a whole different...
Well, it's like, but the same people aren't even running...
Yeah, that's why I think he ultimately should have done it for the fans. but I respect that he did it for the reasons that he did it.
I get, yeah, because he's in.
It's funny, we're just actually talking about
Thor: The Dark World. Ugh.
Yeah, it's funny, we're actually just talking tonight at work, because there are 11 people at the station when we run our newscast, and we're like, man, if we went on strike, like, right now, they wouldn't be able to do shit. They would have to give in to our demands.
Yeah, exactly. They really would, though.
There are 11 people. You cannot get anything done if everyone at the station just sits down.
Is the fucking executive going to come down and fucking host the news? Who's going to shoot it?
Exactly. So anyway, sorry, it's just kind of reminded me of that.
We are not staying on topic with anything in this.
Yeah, you guys couldn't hire scabs or whatever? I remember my Industrial Revolution history class. Are scabs still a thing?
Scabs that know how to appear on camera and run the whole station.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, there are still scab workers.
I just want to make sure. I'm a big fan of them.
Okay, anyway, sorry. No, but getting back to companions, though, yeah, like, I just got so sick of Amy and Rory because there were so many chances for them to leave and they just never take it. And I don't know, maybe it's fans demanding them, but you need to be able to...
I got sick of them during the first half of season 7, but the big thing with me is I got really tired of Clara in season 9 because she was the biggest thing. Like it's not. I don't think it's an episode. You said you haven't seen season 9, right?
Nope.
Well, there's an episode. I think it's before the flood where they're doing like this whole story of like, oh, the doctor's gonna die, and he's telling Clara like, Clara, I have to die now because it's like I can't break the timeline. And she's like, I don't care. Break the rules. You owe me. And it's like, what the hell does he owe you?
Yeah, that's
bitch.
I've been done with her since season 8. At the end of season 8, I was like, she is irredeemable to me after all this crap, so I want her gone.
But at the very least, they came up with a very clever way of getting rid of her in season 9. Like I think it was clever anyway.
Okay, now Ben, you said that the companions with Tennant never stayed around long enough, and was it you that said Martha or was it Bill?
Bill said Martha. We both agree Martha should have been around longer.
Yeah.
I mean, she was my favorite companion.
The thing is, I liked Martha after she left, because when she was on, it was just, I love the Doctor, but he doesn't love me. It's like,
And that's why I liked her so much, is because she's like, she had the strength to realize, okay, this isn't going to work out, this isn't healthy, so I'm walking away from it. That's what I liked so much about her, is that she left before her time, so that whenever we got her back, it felt really fresh.
When she was back, it was amazing, but like, that's like kind of the big thing. It's like, season 3 has a lot of problems for me when it comes to, like, the whole Martha thing, because I've said this before, maybe I would call it Rose syndrome, where a showrunner has a companion that they make that they like so much and keep hyping up as this great person that everybody loves, and so then the person who comes after them is constantly compared and, like, shat on in comparison, and that happened to Martha, and oh my god, Moffat had Rose syndrome with Clara. Like, God. With, like, throwing her into the Doctor's timeline and shit, and it's like, really, Moffat? Like,
oh, I hated that. Yeah, I didn't like that.
Made Clara, like, the most important part of his life, and it's like,
oh, yeah.
Like, why? Why are you doing this?
Like, I'm so sick of every companion being the fucking universe-ending fucking aspect of the Doctor's life. It's getting so old. Why can't he just hang out with some people? Like, why can't he just chill out with some people? Like, just chill with some dudes. Maybe if
that's why Power of 3 was so refreshing, because, like, Power of 3 was refreshing because he was just chilling with Amy and Rory. Just chilling.
Yeah,
like,
just hang out with some guys, man. Like, who fucking...
Eating fish fingers and custard, playing Wii Sports. It's like, just having a good full time.
I've been saying this since the beginning of season 8. I want a bunch of people in that TARDIS next season. I want, like, 3 people. Like,
I kind of want him to have, like, a relationship where it's, like a guy and like just like a guy, a male companion that he has is like just kind of a buddy, like just a friend. And then I want to have a scene of them in a bar and the Doctor getting drunk. That would be amazing.
I'd be down.
Yeah, it's funny. The Doctor hasn't really had a proper male companion that's like constant there for like the long term of his run.
Not in the new Who.
Long time, where it's just a one guy kind of thing, and I think it goes all the way back to Jamie, doesn't it?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, you think back to Ian. I mean, he's the only dude in there. The only dude in there is an ancient or alien. He's the only one with one penis. That we know of. Although I think the Doctor probably only has one penis. Because think about the way Clara reacts in Time with the Doctor. She'd probably have a bigger reaction if there were a couple people.
I remember that was one of the weird things. I remember like looking up. Like I remember I just looked up like just I was like making a video or something that was Doctor Who related, and I wanted to pitch a picture of Rose and 10, and I looked on Google, and then like one of the search results, it was like a Reddit thing, and it was, did 10 and Rose ever fuck? It's like
they never even kissed until later.
And then like I was just curious, so I clicked on it, and it's like they might not have, but 9 and Rose definitely did. And it's like, what? Where'd you get that idea?
Fuck Rose.
They claim after the Doctor dances episode, because they're talking about sex that entire episode instead of dancing. Like Moffat's even said that they're talking about sex.
God, I haven't watched that one in so long. I need to go back and rewatch that.
But
that's a weird idea to me.
That is one thing though that I thought would be kind of an interesting idea if they were to keep a female companion. We've never really seen the Doctor attempt to have an actual like legit relationship, like a romantic one.
He just got fucked in the last Christmas special though. He got raped.
No, but it could be kind of interesting to see like how that kind of relationship would affect their travels together, kind of thing. Like maybe
I wouldn't mind it. I was also on board with the idea of another Time Lady, or just a Time Lord in general being the next.
I would like an alien companion that, like, I want him to do
handles.
Yes,
Everybody
handles.
wanted handles. I wanted handles.
Dude, oh my god, the Doctor Who comics gave handles an origin. It was the greatest thing ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was in the Four Doctors story arc. Tennant, they're all in like Paris at some time period, and Tennant just has a Cyberman head with him. He's like, I'm just gonna throw this in a trash can real quick, and he does, and like 10 minutes later, Matt Smith walks by and he pulls it out of the trash can. He's like, ooh, I'll fix this.
Are
those canon, by the way?
Hundreds of years to go back for it.
Are those canon, by the way? Those comics?
Yeah, they are.
So that means
until
they all
somebody
met
else
again.
gets the rights.
Like they all met again then, all the Doctors.
Yeah, and like they look at Capaldi and they're like, what the fuck?
Oh, I gotta read that then. I'd love to see how Matt Smith would react to Capaldi.
Yeah, they have no idea what the fuck's going on. They're like really fucking confused by Capaldi.
Is the War Doctor in that though?
No.
Oh, so who's the fourth? I'm an idiot. Wait.
Is it 9?
Eccleston shows up for one scene.
Oh, so he's the Tom Baker of the story. Boo!
No,
yeah,
actually,
he was the wax figure.
No, the fourth Doctor is an alternate timeline 12th Doctor, and he's the villain.
Boo!
What?
Boo!
Yeah.
Oh wait, is the Valiard? Does he call himself the Valiard?
No.
Boo! It should be 9. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh. Why?
Well, no, like actually, the scene with 9 though is fantastic because they walk into.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. I didn't see what I did there.
Oh!
No, they walk into a cafe. All the Doctors walk into a cafe, and like the whole story arc had been about like bad decisions that the Doctor made that could have been like terrible and ended lives and all this stuff.
I gotta read this story.
Yeah,
What?
And they walk into a cafe at the end, and they see the 9th Doctor sitting there with Rose. And Capaldi goes, of course he couldn't have been involved in this. He did nothing that wasn't fantastic. And it's just really...
Oh,
yep.
That's awesome.
That's so cute. But I always find it really weird how the Doctors talk about each other. Like, they always talk about each other like they're separate people. I know they kind of are, technically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you met 10-year-old you, would you even, like, acknowledge yourself as an equal at that point?
No, probably not. That's why I'm okay. That's why it doesn't bother me. But it's always just really weird to see it, though. You know.
What is the name of this story? I am downloading it and reading it tonight. I really want to read this.
The Four Doctors.
I still want to read this. Like, how? This is seriously canon. Like BBC's confirmed this is canon.
Yeah.
Why the fuck?
Again, I think that's until somebody else gets the rights, guys.
Probably.
Let's just put that little sprinkle of salt on top.
Aw,
Doctor Who,
boo.
remember.
Well, then again, that's the thing. I remember one
They're not
story...
going to mention it in the show, certain.
Oh, but they should.
There won't, though.
You know, one thing I actually really love about the comics right now, just since we're talking about them, is the little backups, because in the Four Doctors one, they have, like, little backup, like, comic strip kind of things. It's completely different art style and everything.
Which one is the Four Doctors? Because there's also a big Finnish one about, like...
It's Titan Comics. So anyways, there's these little, like, comic strips in the backups, and there's one in the Four Doctors story arc where it was called Companions Anonymous, and it was, like, all the different Doctor Who companions, like, having a little group therapy session.
You think they do that in the real world?
Well, wait. The punchline is amazing, Bill. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so, like, they're all going back and forth talking about who has it the worst and who's got the craziest doctor and everything, and then at the end, some redhead sticks in her head and she goes, "Am I in the wrong place?" And it's Donna.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. She got her ass mind wiped. That's just.
Well, actually, that's one thing though with the comics. There's one story I remember reading that was a really great story, and I wish this was. I don't know if this is canon or not, but I kind of wish it was. It was a story where the 11th Doctor's, I think his TARDIS glitched or something, and he ended up in the real world and actually meeting Matt Smith.
Oh, that's fun.
That's like that comic where Han Solo goes to fucking Earth, dies, and then is found by Indiana Jones hundreds of years later.
And the funniest thing is, the funniest thing is, like, the Doctor finds out he's fictional, and then they ask him, like, okay, who do you think should replace Matt Smith then when he's done? Peter Capaldi.
Oh. Alright, I like that, but you guys gotta agree, that Star Wars one's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it is. No, there's a lot of things that the comics do that are really fun. All right, I promise this will be the last one, but there's also a Matt Smith backup comic where he has a thing about French comic books, and so he goes to this French comic book stand to pick up his pull, right?
He's got a pull, I love it.
Yeah, he goes to the comic stand to pick up his pull, and the guy's like, "You were here like 20 minutes ago." He goes, damn it, I hate when when a different me comes and takes my comics. You know what? No, I'm not going to put up with it. So he goes and gets in the TARDIS, goes back 30 minutes, and goes to pick up his comics. And he's like, wait.
Son of a bitch! I love it. That's why stuff like that is why I love Doctor Who.
And like that I gotta read these comics. These sound really awesome. But
they're really, really good. I'm only reading the 10th and 8th Doctor right now, and they just get Tennant's voice so perfect. It's
but the one thing I will ask, with the Four Doctors story, is Clara in there?
Yeah, Clara is, and then you have Gabby and what's her name from? I don't know her name off of the top of my head.
Who's Smith's companion?
What?
Who's Smith's companion?
I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Tennant and Smith both have new companions for the comics, right. And I fucking love Gabby. Gabby is Tennant's companion, and she's like an artist. And so every so often, when she instead of internal monologues, you have letters that she's writing to a friend, and every so often you'll turn a page, and the art style will completely change, and it'll be her drawings of what's going on. It's
that is
really,
cool.
Really funny.
So
that
happy these are canon. Until
somebody else gets the rights.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to
into everything we say until somebody else gets the rights. But hey, I want to ask something though. Where does that take place in Tennant's timeline?
It's really hard to tell.
What about Smith's? Because it doesn't make sense for him to have a companion. He's
got 200 years to fuck around, man.
Yeah, no, Smith has so much time to fuck around with.
I guess
anybody.
So. Yeah.
Because he's constantly leaving Amy and Rory, and it's like, oh, it's been 600 years for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, with Tennant's timeline, it's really confusing when it takes place. It's when he's traveling alone. It's the specials era. Is all I can.
That's what I would have to assume.
So he'll take this Gabby person, but he won't take that fucking jewel thief from Planet of the Dead, even though
he won't take Catwoman. Why won't he take Catwoman? Why won't Catwoman?
I was rewatching that episode, and I forget her name, but the one from Planet of the Dead, and them together would have been so amazing, for a season.
Because all right, here's the reason: they don't have to pay an actress for the comic book. That's why.
But imagine, and that's the thing. I almost if I were to take over Doctor Who, I would bring that character back and make her a full-fledged companion. I don't care if it makes sense, but it's freaking loved her character in that episode.
You see,
Yeah.
if I ran Doctor Who, I would make the Doctor his own companion. Think about it.
Yeah.
You just ignored that.
One thing I like really, really want someone to have the balls to do, and I don't think they'll ever do it, but I really want what people thought was going to happen with the next Doctor storyline. Or I want the Doctor, when he's still the Doctor, isn't close to dying yet or anything, to meet the next version of himself, to have like a pre-crossover
They
kind of thing.
did that, though, in the Day of the Doctor.
No, I want it to happen before the next Doctor has had his run. Like before the current Doctor's run is over.
Yeah, but wouldn't that kind of spoil the fact that he will, regenerate soon? Plus, Day of the Doctor kind of has that at the ending with the Curator. Maybe not
I
with
guess.
that version, but with a future version of himself.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I really want them to have the balls to do it as like a full episode.
They will never ever do it.
Well, that's one thing I really want. I want there to be a time. I remember watching the ending of, not End of Time, but like the first part of the ending of Stolen Earth. Like, it has that cliffhanger ending of like him looking like he's gonna regenerate or whatever. Imagine
fantastic cliffhanger.
Imagine a series finale, or season finale anyway, like a series season whatever, where they do that sort of cliffhanger ending, but he actually does regenerate and beats the villain after regenerating into the new Doctor.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I enjoy that a lot. They've never done anything like that, huh?
Yeah, like there's a lot of things.
You don't really get to give him a proper goodbye. That's the one problem.
That's what would bug people. Like, people thought 11 wasn't going to get a proper goodbye as they were watching The Time of the Doctor, myself included. I got really pissed. I was like, oh, what? He's not going to get a proper goodbye. He's just going to turn into an old man and go through away.
He got a proper goodbye. He got a proper goodbye in Deep Breath, though. So I would.
Oh no, I was totally fine with what they did, but I would also be fine with them doing something like that in the future, where they literally just kind of go, "He's dead now, but it's fine. He's gonna have to beat the villain now." I'd like to see sort of a disposable regeneration, but it would be really hard for me.
Like he freaking like they announced okay, this guy's the next Doctor, and then in the middle and at the end of the episode, at the end of the first part of the finale, he regenerates into this other person that's that no one had ever heard of and they didn't announce as the Doctor. He beats the villain, then regenerates again into the other guy that they announced.
That would be fucked up. I would love that though. See, the problem with that would be, though, I would be so distracted by the fact that they did that. Like, I would probably hate it at first, because it'd be like, oh yeah, you're very clever, blah, blah, blah. Especially if, the story around it was garbage, but you'd have to make the story around it not garbage, and I think that'd be kind of cool.
Well, actually, that was one thing. Speaking of regeneration, there was a rumor going around for a while with Season 9, because remember, I remember there was pictures of Tennant, around the set, and, apparently there was talks of Paul McGann being around the set.
I heard ones, yeah.
Well, you know how there was in the first episode of Season 9 they kind of did this whole thing where it was well, they they're talking about the Time War or whatever, and the at the end of the first episode of Season 9 they do this whole thing where it looks like the Doctor's going to kill Davros as a child.
Right,
so,
yeah.
It's the rumor is that event would be a big catalyst for the season, and then at the end of the season, the time would catch up to him, and that would cause. Capaldi was saying you'll have a different feeling of what regeneration is, and it would be the first degeneration, and he would actually, and since the Time War never happened, we would actually see Capaldi degenerate back into 8 for the episode until he had to have the Time War happen again.
Oh, because he actually had killed Davros.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been crazy. They would never do that, but that would be crazy interesting.
And we would have had a cameo by David Tennant, as he's degenerating back, where it's you'd see him for a brief second, and then he'd go back to Paul McGann.
And then you get a picture of Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, then you get a picture of Matt Smith, a picture of Christopher Eccleston, a picture of a young what's his name? John Hurt.
John Hurt.
Yeah, and then you get 8. Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think
would it have to be a younger 8? Would it have to be a de-aged Paul McGann?
But I think it would have been cool if they would have done that. That would have been to have Paul McGann at the end of the season kind of thing, and then stop himself from killing Davros, and then he regenerates back into 12.
Paul McGann's just so fucking good.
I would only be okay with that if it was a brief thing.
Well, that's
it would came back.
Well, that'd be the big thing. It was going to be, like I said, the rumor was it was going to be for the one episode. And like,
that would have been amazing then. Yeah, definitely. If it was just a one and done thing. Totally.
Okay, so anyway, let's try to get back to the topic, guys. I'm sorry. It's Doctor Who. It's bound to happen.
Do we have a timeline with this, or?
No, not at all. I just wanted to, like, we've been kind of away for, like, I think a good 15 minutes.
It's fun to talk about this shit. I didn't want to just talk about this again when we're not recording shit.
Totally. Okay, so, Ben, is there anything you wanted to talk about with this? Like, any direction you'd like us to go in?
With the showrunners thing?
Yeah, with Davies Moffat.
I'd say that, looking at a lot of the... One thing that Moffat did bring to the show that I really liked compared to Davis is that, this isn't very much with his writing, but I guess it was with his production team. Holy shit, Doctor Who is shot so much better in the Moffat era.
Oh, right, though? It looks so much better. Davies stuff looks like a fucking child put it together sometimes. Like,
well,
yeah, I can agree with that.
Well, like, that's kind of one of the reasons why it kind of feels like a B-movie, is, like,
yeah,
the way
I'm totally
shot.
with that, yeah.
And,
like yes, Moffat stuff looks like legit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even everything looks better. The CG looks better. Everything. A lot of
the CG definitely looks better in the Moffat.
The camera actually moves now, guys.
Yeah, like a lot of the Davies era stuff, it looks like it's still in the early '90s.
It's all very
that's just
shot, and the sets are very limited. I mean, you look at that old TARDIS set, my god.
Well, it's like that was the thing. It was shot really well in Day of the Doctor, like that TARDIS set.
Yeah, they tried to kind of make it look retro in terms of the way it was shot, like that kind of.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool that I mean, it worked. It looked good for some parts. Like I think David Tennant looked pretty good with some of the ways it was shot, and like the TARDIS itself, when you're actually in it, it does feel, I guess, bigger. But then when you actually think about it, it's like that thing looks so like made of. But like I'm looking at like clips. I'm watching like muted clips of the show right now to like look at certain things, and that I swear to God, when he's leaning up against like those pillars, they look like they're made of like foam.
They look like styrofoam. They look like styrofoam pillars.
I was always bugged by that fucking like couch thing that's in Tennant's fucking TARDIS, like that raggedy old looking couch. What is that doing in a Time Lord's fucking lair or whatever you want to call it?
I fucking love that whole thing where Peter Davidson comes back to that little short they did, and he's like, "You changed the desktop theme. What is this, coral?" And it's just like, that does make me want to do one thing. I want an episode of Doctor Who where we get the leopard skin TARDIS interior.
I also like the line in Day of the Doctor where the 11 goes, "Yeah, it was his grunge phase." I'm like, it was though. That's the thing.
Well, like, you know what else would be really funny is if we got to see an episode where he's just changing TARDIS desktops. Like, he just presses a button and the whole fucking thing changes behind him.
That's the thing,
like, nah.
is that one thing I would love that they did, they hinted at this in The Doctor's Wife, is that the TARDIS, like, has all of the Doctor's interiors stored, including future ones. Like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, the TARDIS glitched out and then he was using, and, like, for one episode before a new Doctor came in, he used a future TARDIS console room?
Like, that'd be cool, too. No, just the set design and everything just improves in the Moffat area. Everything looks a lot better. From the CG, the set design, the costuming, the makeup, everything looks like... I don't want to go so far as to say 100% better.
Well, it's like even looking at like Davros in comparing him like how he looks in season 4 to how he looks in season 9. Holy shit, he looks like a guy in makeup in season 4. He like legitimately looks like
he looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since we were talking about TARDIS interiors, Ben, I just sent a link to my custom TARDIS interior.
That would be great. Oh, I would love.
Yeah.
But well, I'll talk about one thing regarding TARDIS interiors because I'm not sure if I talked to you. I'll have to talk to us about you a little bit, Bill, if you're a gamer. Are you a gamer?
I do game occasionally.
Well, then I'll have to tell you something when this is over, because I think it would take too long for me to explain on here. It involves Fallout, and I think you'd really like it.
Bill loves Fallout.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you after. Just make sure to remind me.
Will do.
Yeah, the set design and just everything does improve.
It does. It really does.
There is one lingering problem, though. There's one stock shot of the TARDIS flying away that they've been using for years. Like, you guys know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The point that I always remember at the worst is in Day of the Doctor, actually, when okay, so, like, the Doctor, for some reason, feels the need to dramatically blast the phrase "no more" into a wall. Why, number one? Like, why didn't he just, like, send them a text or whatever? But okay, dramatic, whatever. So then...
because it was cool.
Because it was cool, and it was his grunge phase, I get it. But he then blows through a wall with the TARDIS, because he can just do that now. And then I guess it makes sense that he could do it, but it's not really his style. And then he blows through some Daleks, and the shot of him flying away is the stock shot of the TARDIS flying in space. And I'm just like, what are you doing, guys? Like, that looks like shit. This is in theaters for some people. What are you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that where it looks so much better in the newer episodes. Like
season 9 is a really good example of that. Like, I remember when the trailers for season 9 were coming out, and that legitimately looked like it was shot like a movie. Like, it didn't look like a TV series with the way it was shot.
What was the episode where the TARDIS kept getting smaller in season 8?
Flatline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked fantastic. Just Capaldi, talking through those tiny ass doors.
Yeah, no, they did that really well.
That looked so legit.
My actual problem with that, though, actually comes from, and I think part of this is problems with Capaldi in Smith's TARDIS. It's too clean, because because Tennant's and Eccleston's looks fucked up. Like, it's all dark and fucking scratched up looking. And then when you see Smith's and you see Capaldi's, it's very clean and very bright blue. So when it gets smaller, it looks kind of fake. Like, it looks like I know this is weird saying
to
this
be
about
fair,
something.
they did.
Yeah. Yeah. But it looks very, like, it doesn't actually look like a smaller police box.
The thing is, though, we do actually see Smith repainting the TARDIS, though, in Big Manhattan.
Yeah. No, I know. It's just that's the problem, though, is that they did that so that way when it looked smaller, it had to look that bright, but it looked fake because of what they were doing, so... But yeah, a massive nitpick on my part, but yeah.
No, that's fair. And just, like, yeah, all the set design, everything looked a lot better.
That's one thing. Like, I like the design of Tennant's, I like the way that they tried to make Tennant's interior TARDIS look. The one thing, I adore Capaldi's TARDIS.
I like it a lot, too, yeah.
No, see, for me, mine's always Smith's first interior. I like all the steampunky, kind of trashy looking stuff.
I've always kind of like the idea, though, of, like... Well, like, but the thing is, though, at least that one looks better. Like, the way they, like, all the props they use for Capaldi's interior TARDIS, like, it all looks good. Especially, like, I like the library, I like the chalkboard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's good.
I mean, I think I like them all. I mean, the close-ups on Tennant's look kind of shit, but...
Except for the Fourth Doctor's wooden TARDIS, that was pretty shit.
Oh, yeah, I don't like the War Doctor's interior TARDIS at all, because it's literally like, it's the original Doctor's TARDIS with, like, some shit added to make it look somewhat newer. It's fucking crap.
That was really annoying. Because, like, when you first see that version of it, because, like, you see that before you see the War Doctors... And, like, when you see it, it looks like the different desktops are kind of, like, merging. And then you see the War Doctor get into it later, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, it looks exactly like that, and it's like, oh, that's really garbage. But I was actually going to say, my biggest problem with Smith's first TARDIS, and I think it's fine, I like it a lot. I like the glass floor. But I don't know why I like glass floors on TARDIS, but that's cool to me. But the thing I was going to say was, it looks too similar to Tennant's, though, because, Ian, I remember when we first did our video,
I can agree with that.
You introduced me to Doctor Who, and when you showed me the 11th Hour, and you were like, oh, did you notice how different the TARDIS was? I was like, no, it was different. They make a huge deal out of it, too. Like, it's like a whole scene, and I didn't even fucking notice it. Like, I was like, oh, it's different or something?
I think the more thing is that I like Capaldi's more because, like Smith's and Tennant's TARDISes looked very kind of, like, more organic and, like, kind of had, like, a life to it. Whereas, and, like, kind of, like, especially, Smith's looked like kind of, like, a child's imagination of what a TARDIS would look like.
I like to call it the organized junkyard.
Yeah, whereas, like, Capaldi's looks very, like, mechanical and, like, slick and clean, and it's more so what I would imagine the inside of a time machine to look like, as opposed to something like Matt Smith's.
And that's fine, and, like, you know, it's all personal opinion at that point.
I mean,
and, you know,
don't get me wrong,
prefer.
I still love Matt Smith's TARDIS. I just like Capaldi's a little more.
I don't really care for the big rotating things at the top.
Oh, you don't like those? I love those.
Yeah, I love those too.
I don't know. It looks too. It's gonna sound stupid. It looks too unnecessary. I know. Don't question me on that.
Everything in Doctor Who is unnecessary. It's part of the point.
Yeah, all the shit on fucking Smith's console, like the hot and cold levers, the bell. That's all necessary.
The mustard dispenser, Ian. There was the mustard dispenser on the TARDIS console in that.
Well, if you make a hot dog and you gotta fly the TARDIS at the same time, you don't have time.
That's not an issue for him. He barely eats. he just
I know.
have to eat.
I know it's a dumb complaint.
It is. But
well, the only really useful thing that Smith has on his TARDIS is his fucking like sonic screwdriver dispenser, and even then, I'd argue Capaldi's is better. Well,
yeah.
Capaldi's is better because it fucking like with Smith it was like it just kind of like just pushed out and then he like grabbed it, but with Capaldi's it like morphed from like light into a screwdriver and then it shot out of the TARDIS and he catches it with his hand.
Yeah, it was like a ray from the Force Awakens moment, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some great stuff though in Moffat's era that I really like, since we're kind of talking about just the way things were shot and everything. It's one of the, I think it's either the episode right before Wedding of River Song or Wedding of River Song where she jumps out of the building like as she's being chased. She just kind of takes a swan dive off the building.
That's the first episode of season 6.
Yeah, it's the Day of the Moon astronaut comes out of water two-parter.
Yeah. Whatever. Like, she jumps off the building and just, like, falls straight into the TARDIS, and then you see the water splash from the pool. And I love the creative ways in which they use the TARDIS.
Impossible Astronaut's the name of the episode.
Yeah.
In the Moffat area,
astronaut comes out of water, like I said.
Yeah. In the Moffat area, though, they use the TARDIS in such creative ways that I absolutely love it. And in the Davies era, it's pretty much just a fucking time machine.
I love the way that not in the Power 3, I think it was like Dinosaurs in a Spaceship. Rory's dad is like trying to fix a light bulb, and then Matt Smith just materialized the TARDIS around them.
Yeah.
He's like, "Why'd you bring your dad? You materialized it around us."
Oh, by the way, that's inconsistent because he just literally lands on an Ood in season 6, and that just fucking disintegrates it.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of really clever uses, though. I mean, there's some little things, like, you know, as clever as they used the TARDIS in Smith's era, that dude didn't know how to drive the thing, whereas Tennant had, like, a apparently really precise control, because there's that one episode where they materialize and he, like, opens the door, and he's like the door is facing a wall, and there's no room to get out, so he closes the door, unmaterializes, then rematerializes, and all he did was, like, flip it around 90 degrees.
And yet David Tennant's TARDIS crashed like every other episode.
Oh, that thing got fucked up. I always imagine Smith just is unable to pay attention to one thing. So when he's flying the TARDIS, he's also creating a new language, or solving the secrets of the universe, or whatever.
That was one retcon I absolutely hated, that the TARDIS wasn't supposed to make that like that noise when
I never liked that either, because it gets brought up later in Day of the Doctor, where, you know, Billy Piper is just like, oh, you know, that brings hope to people when they hear that sound. And it's like, well, apparently it's not supposed to make that sound, so.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that still works, because it does make that sound, so it does bring hope.
Yeah, but still, it's like, he's only doing it because the fucking handbrake is still on when he's flying the damn thing.
Because he's lazy. It's literally laziness, and that's...
No, it's not laziness, it's stupidity.
I like that sound. It's a brilliant sound.
Yeah.
That's him trying to cover, though.
Also,
it's like, I like the sound.
It's also inconsistent because back in the day, when when we first saw the Master, back during Pertwee's run, he comes in a blue truck that's his TARDIS, and it makes that sound. So,
well, doesn't the new TARDIS in season 9 also make that sound when it lands?
Yeah, the one that he picks up at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So then right there, that's another example of, like, what the fuck?
It's like, what are you doing, Moffat?
It doesn't make any sense.
What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Like,
you're asking
for
consistency, though. You're never going to get
it.
No,
I've long since accepted that fact. But you know what?
No,
I think you need to write another season of Jekyll and then come back to Doctor Who, and then you'll find your happy place.
that way you can get rid of all your bad.
Exactly.
No, like,
for another season of Jack.
Since we're talking about TARDIS stuff, though, I think one of my favorite lines Matt Smith's Doctor has is, I think Rory says something to the effect of, "Doesn't this thing have a manual?" And he goes, "We had a disagreement, so I threw it into a supernova."
I love that. That's such a Doctor Who sort of line.
Yeah.
Where it's got this average Joe guy who's just chilling with this god. And the guy's just like, "Oh, well, gee willikers, sir, you really should learn how to fly your time machine here." And the Doctor just looks at him and is just like, "I threw it into a fucking cosmic event. Suck my potentially multiple dicks."
Okay. Bill, did you have anything you wanted to bring up with the Davies versus Moffat stuff?
I wanted to go back to a thing, actually.
Go for
Matt
it.
actually mentioned something a while. I'm sorry, this is so long after the fact now, but he mentioned that you actually like the way Davies handles the season finales better than Moffat.
Yeah, I do.
I'm actually the flip of that. I actually prefer Moffat's more often than not, but I'm more specifically talking about the ultimate reveals. I find his reveals to be far more compelling than Davies, because Davies it was either the Daleks or somebody else.
But I think they're a bit more tightly written with Davies, though. Like, because that's the one thing. The season 6 finale is so goddamn confusing and makes little sense. And the one thing is in the season 8 finale with like the big reveal of, oh, Missy was the one like who brought Claire and the Doctor together. That was like the way it was done in that was such an anticlimax.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Well, it's like because the biggest example of like a kind of mind blowing, I would say, finale was like more so the ending of the season 2 finale is absolutely I'd say my favorite of all the finales, just because you didn't see. Look, the way they got rid of Rose in that, you did not see that coming. You didn't expect it. You didn't expect her to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, season 2 has a lot of problems, but, you know, despite how weird the Doctor and Rose's relationship is, that scene, watching it at least the first time, is pretty fucking heartbreaking.
It totally is. That scene hit me so hard when I first watched the show. And I will agree that Moffat's finales are definitely more convoluted and problematic when you pick at them with a stick. But just from a sheer entertainment, raw reaction standpoint, whenever I would watch the Davies finales, I would always just kind of go, yeah, okay. And just, like, with whatever the big reveal of what the plot of the season was. Like, with the whole, the Cybermen are the ghost thing, and the Daleks are in this big, dome, are in this prison.
I heard 4 knocks. Does that mean one of us is going to die?
Yeah, what the hell are you doing?
You're talking about season finales, so I just had to start doing the master.
I was like, what are you doing? It's really irritating, but whatever.
Sorry.
No, it's all good, man, I get it. But, I find Moffat's more convoluted, but also a little bit more unique and sort of filled with a lot more twists and turns that I didn't see coming. A little bit more entertaining and engaging in the moment. Now, I will say, I've rewatched Moffat's stuff a lot more than Davies' stuff, and also I haven't rewatched a ton of the season finales of either showrunner shows beyond my initial viewing of them when I binge watched the show. Because the season finales, I will agree, overall, tend to be some of the weaker episodes. Like, sometimes they're really hard-hitting. Like, I really like Matt Smith's first 2-part season finale. Like, can we agree?
Oh, yeah.
I like the rebooting of the universe stuff. I think
that was... Well, it was crazy, but, like, and that was actually one thing is, last year, like, during the summer, they had, like, that event of, was it, like, Death in Heaven and, what's the name of the other episode?
Oh, shit.
Dark Water and Death in Heaven.
Dark Water, yeah.
And the way that they cut it differently, so that it was all like as one long episode, and it felt like you're watching a movie. Like they don't have a to be continued in the end and credits.
Yeah, I did. I saw that. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and it's like that episode felt actually better, like cut together as one long movie kind of thing, because. Yeah. Since you had to wait a week in between them, the big reveal, like, oh, Danny's a Cyberman or whatever, it's like, that was kind of not all that great, because...
Everybody saw that coming.
Likes that guy.
Everybody saw that coming, and also everybody fucking hates that guy. No one more than me.
What I hate about Danny Pink was this, is that the BBC were all like, oh, Danny's a companion. You know what? In order for you to be a companion, in my eyes, you at the very least have to be in the TARDIS and fly somewhere in the TARDIS.
He never goes anywhere.
Then again, by that standpoint, Courtney's a fucking companion because she did it twice.
Oh, I would say that Courtney was definitely a 2-off companion, I guess.
Boo! Fuck Courtney.
Oh, I hate her, but you gotta give her props for that. Yeah. I mean, the lady was the future president of the United States, despite the fact
even though she's British, and that's literally impossible. But
I guess we changed. I guess we amended that rule, which I guess I don't really care. Just don't.
Fucking Obama.
Yeah.
He put that loophole in after he got it.
Just so he could clear up his streak. But anyway. I prefer Moffat's finale. I just find them more entertaining and more, just better objectively from just their unique standpoint. And
I don't agree with that. Because the thing is with the Moffat, here's I guess how I would describe the Moffat endings the Moffat season finales with me. Season 5 was mind blowing and amazing, and I love it. Like I didn't see any of it coming, and I was going like, oh my god, this is great. Season 6 left me confused. I'm like, what the hell happened? I don't know what the hell is going on here.
I had a good time, though.
Elements of it, and then Season 7 was kind of, then Season 7 was very kind of, came out of nowhere because they didn't have enough time to really build up to the whole thing in Season 7 because they only had half a season to do it. Mm-hmm. Season 8 was anticlimactic, and then Season 9 had a great first part with Heaven Sent's fucking amazing. I love that episode.
Heaven Sent is great, yeah.
And then I liked Hellbent, but then it's like elements of it. It's like you could have done a much better story with the fact that story is set like 90% on Gallifrey.
Yeah, that was a big misstep to me as well. I will go as far to say I hated Hellbent. The things that I did like about it, which were actually quite plentiful at first, I just can't save it from me. I tried to rewatch it recently, and I was just like, oh no, I can't. I really don't like what they did with Clara on that. But yeah, let's go back.
For me, the Davies finales were always a lot better because, Bill, I'll agree that the Moffat ones were always entertaining, at least initially, but you're trying so hard to follow everything that it gets really, really out of hand really fast.
And also that's the problem with Moffat on a whole, too.
Well, but it's also just the fact
the Davies stuff, I wasn't ever lost.
Yeah.
It was still really surprising, when that thing fucking opens and all the Daleks start shooting out of it. I was shocked as fuck, but I knew what was going on.
And it's like the constant, I remember, Season 1 was also a good example with, bad wolf. And
that was disappointing as fuck, though, because, Bad Wolf didn't
just the Daleks on its own.
No, but it's more of a thing of, with I know you're saying, when you pick it with a stick, but the thing is, for me, you don't have to do a lot, especially with the Season 8 finale, to look at those finales and find a lot of holes and a lot of things that don't make sense. Whereas with the Davis ones, I couldn't really find anything that's that doesn't make sense. And everything, it feels more tightly written with Davis.
I don't agree. I find a lot more initial, when I watch Davies finales, I'm like, what is happening? With the ending of Season 1 with Rose consuming the essence of the TARDIS, I'm like, what is this? What are we looking at here? And her and the Doctor kissing to transfer it, that's also weird. For me, it's just the initial shock of some of Davies. It's not even the shock of being surprised. It's just the nature of really weird imagery and really weird ideas just being thrown at you out of nowhere. That's the thing that I don't like a lot about Davies stuff, is the finales in particular, is that there doesn't seem to be, and Moffat has this problem too, but I'll just say Davies now, there doesn't seem to be as much thought put into the ultimate reveals. It just seems to be sort of, the way, I'm bringing Dylan back up, the way Dylan always described it was, he would write himself into a corner and then just go, what? Where am I now? How am I going to get out of this? And then find some way to get out of it that isn't great, or just not, it's kind of anticlimactic. Moffat does that now, too. Especially recently.
Yeah.
But for me, it was always a lot more distracting with Davies stuff, and it always seemed a lot more goofy and just really alienating to me personally. But
what I'm going to come back with there is, importantly, Davies' stuff was always very different, whereas Moffat's stuff, it's always the same kind of situation.
No, I'll agree. Well, but I will also say that Davies reused the same villains though every season finale.
They had to use the Daleks a lot. I got really tired of it's always the Daleks.
Well, the thing is,
but
though, I'm not sure if you guys know this, the Daleks have to be in every season.
No, I
know.
totally know that. But I like the way Moffat does it better though. Like he kind of changes up where the Daleks are every season.
Yeah, I got you. But I'm just saying, like, as it is repetitive that it's often the Daleks in the Davies era, but it's always a brand new approach with the Daleks, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the exact same situation with the Daleks trying to take over.
No, it's not always the same situation, but it's always the same thing. The Daleks end up on Earth somehow, and now they're going to try and do something bad. And I got sick of that.
With Moffat's, though, it's always, the universe is about to end, and it's some kind of crazy time travel paradox thing has to happen
totally.
to make it all work out.
Well, that is a problem. And that is a problem, but I think that the particulars of how Moffat makes it different, I find more compelling.
No, for me, because like whatever the Daleks' plan happens to be in the season finale, it's always very, very different, and it's so you could almost replace the Daleks with any other villain at that point. Is the important part.
You like
Whereas
that?
the situation is always the same in the Moffat eras.
So you like that they're kind of interchangeable as villains?
I don't like that they're interchangeable. It's that balance of they legally have to do this one thing and they do their best to do it, but ultimately, if it weren't the Daleks, it could be someone else.
Okay, I guess I get that, but I'm also just like, well, Davies should have found a better way to incorporate them into the season. Why do they have to be the last enemy? I get why he might think that. Where it's like, okay, people are going to want the Daleks to be the end-all, be-all of the season because they're the Daleks and they're the Doctor's arch nemesis.
And that's
why
fair.
do they always have to be the season finale? Like, that I cannot
I agree.
accept.
I myself got tired of that it was always the Daleks.
Yeah, that's why I can't just accept, like, okay, well, this could be anyone, but they had to use the Daleks, so I guess that makes it fine. Like, that's why that doesn't sit right with me. But I mean, get it. No, I totally get that, but yeah.
It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's just that's the reality of the situation. But my overall point is whatever the
plots are better.
Whatever the plot points are.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well.
And a lot more diverse than what Moffat did.
I'll agree with, and I'll agree that they're more diverse. But again, I'll go back to what I said before. I would take the intricacies of what Moffat does in the moment-to-moment entertainment over the diversity of the Davies era. I just find Moffat's writing more entertaining. And I guess I should have said that at the beginning of this. I find Moffat's writing a lot more entertaining than Davies' writing. Just overall, I like his sense of humor. I like what he brings to the table. I like his mindset more often than not. Not so much recently, but used to feel that way.
And no, for me, it's always been like I love what Moffat does. He has written some of my favorite episodes of the series.
Listen,
but I start to like look back at his stuff and I go, dude, you're pulling the same tricks on me, and I just get really tired of that. It's really easy to make a good show if you just keep making the same episode over and over.
And that's really starting to drive me crazy with him.
And so that's why I've always liked Davies more.
I totally understand.
I think we're about ready to end the
Davies
episode right.
feel a bit more, even though he kept using the Daleks over and over again, the actual plot lines of them felt a bit more, like, fresh, I guess. Mm-hmm. And, like, you really couldn't tell where things were going. And, like, that was one issue I had with Season 9, where it was kind of a case of, we never really knew where it was going, because that was, like, the one time where Moffat didn't hint at anything. He just kept saying, hybrid. It's like, that's it.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is this thing supposed to do? I'm totally with you.
Okay, Bill, let me cut in here. So there's, I think this is actually a really good place to end the episode, unless there's anything else that anyone really, really wanted to get out there.
I think I'm good.
Because I think we kind of came full circle at this point.
I don't think there's really anything else we really can. I think we talked more about other things Doctor Who related than the actual showrunners, but
I think that's inevitable. I think that works, though. And
I didn't want to talk about just them as people, because, I mean, we could have just reviewed their haircuts or something at a certain point.
I mean, fine, let's do that right now. Let's do it.
Dave's haircut is so much better than Moffat's.
All right, no, let's break this down. I want Davies and Moffat in a fist fight. Go.
I'm going to go with Moffat just because he seems like a bit of a big...
Moffat would fucking eat Davies' dick and show it to him. He would fuck him up.
There's actually one thing I do want to talk about. The one thing I just thought of, in regards to last year. Last year was the 10th anniversary of New Who, and people were talking, and like apparently there was talks about Russell T Davies writing an episode for season 9 to celebrate that fact, but he said no. And
Well, I can't blame him because they wiped out all his fucking continuity.
so, like, well, that's like the one thing is that I think the one thing that would have really made Day of the Doctor like a great episode would have been Day of the Doctor, written by Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies. Like if they wrote that episode together.
Yeah,
Yep.
writers is executive producers too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would have been really good. And it kind of sucks that like, he's like so detached from. And like that was actually one thing I was thinking of is that I did want a new showrunner for a while, but I wanted Capaldi to stay, and I thought keep Moffat on as like a consultant for how to write the 12th Doctor character, but like don't have him actually running the show anymore. But
I've been feeling that way since season 8 started. I've been like, Moffat's done. He needs to put it aside. But that's the thing, that he's such an enormous fan of it that he's not gonna until he's absolutely spent.
Until someone drags him away
Yeah,
from
which is
it.
what looks like is happening because people have been turning on him recently. There's been a huge pushback from people. Some of it less credible to me than others, but against.
No, I mean, I think that the way the formula should work, if Capaldi leaves at the end of this next season, I think the way that the formula should work is new Doctor, new showrunner.
but
I just
Capaldi hasn't been on long enough though.
I mean, fair enough,
though.
but
Well,
overall,
I
I just, like,
under his belt by that point.
I know,
Yeah.
but it won't feel very long. Like, the thing is, David Tennant felt like he was the Doctor for a very long time with his seasons. And Matt Smith did too. Capaldi's time has, like, flown by. It's felt really quick. Like,
But
really
think about it, though.
Um,
By the time he leaves, it's going to be 2017, and he will have been on since the end of 2013.
yeah.
I guess so.
Technically. I get what you mean, though. I feel the same way. But technically, when you look at it, it's very...
He'll been the Doctor for 4 years, but it's like...
It doesn't
No, but
feel
just
that
generally,
way,
though, like, having the Doctor and new showrunner come on at the same time, that's what worked so well about the early Moffat stuff. I mean, as much problem as I had with the continuity washing away, I did really like the new, fresh feel of new Doctor, completely new feel for the show. That was really cool.
I think it will be a good way to... Especially since Moffat's run is so heralded by people. I think that...
Or hated. I see more hate for Moffat on the internet than I do love.
Well, I'm just talking personal experience. Mostly everybody I talk to considers him a genius. I don't necessarily anymore, but I think he's a great writer. And I think that there's going to be a certain stigma attached to who, what's his name, Chris Chibnall?
So you mean the same thing that happened to Russell T Davies when Moffat took over?
Well, yeah, precisely. That the fans have sort of idolized him in the way as the writer. And I think that there's going to be a pushback from that. Also, since Moffat, it's not even... I think it's even worse than Davies had it, or Moffat had it taking over from Davies. Because you've also got all the years of people loving the work that he did during the Davies stuff. Like, he's been involved in Doctor Who for a long time. So I think there's going to be a really big sort of expectation by people for Chris Chibnall to step up. But also, I'll just be like, let's get a fresh perspective. That's all I want at this point.
Yeah, I just want...
I want somebody else to fucking take this guy and do something with him, because Moffat has just not been on his game recently.
Yeah, and I think he might just be out of ideas for the characters.
I disagree with that. I think like Heaven Sent sort of showed he does still have some good ideas, because Heaven Sent is such a good episode.
Just as a piece, though. I think that's just as a piece.
I guess so, but it's still like Moffat did still write that episode though, and it's like
yeah, it's good. He did a lot of good work this season, in my opinion. I know you didn't like most of it, but I really liked the opening two-parter a lot.
There wasn't like any episodes aside from Heaven Sent where I was like, this is a really, really great episode.
Fair enough.
And then of course episodes that are I'm trying to remember the name of the episode. Sleep No More came out, and then I wanted to castrate myself.
Oh yeah, everybody's pretty much agreed that Sleep No More is like the worst thing ever.
And yet Mark Gatiss wants a fucking sequel to that.
Oh, I don't know what he imagines people will like about that.
There could be a sequel, considering that story doesn't end; it just stops.
Well, also considering the fact that that's like one of the few instances where the Doctor kind of loses. At least in theory. So who knows? It's probably gonna suck, but we'll see.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. We're going to continue to talk about Doctor Who. You just don't get to hear it. Ha ha ha. Listeners.
Well, I probably won't get to hear most of it, sadly, because I'm going to go to bed soon. But I will stick around for a while.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
anyway,
I'll still have to tell you some things.
Yeah. Anyway, everyone, thank you very, very much for listening. Until next time, and we'll see if Ben picks up on this. He gets to go last. Until next time, I'm the philosopher.
I'm the fanatic. I remember.
And I'm the cool kid.
There we go. And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.